Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. So you grew up in Tennessee?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
95.
95. You beat me by 2 years. I was 97. Why'd you come here?
I wanted for a long time. I knew for a long time that I was not going to stay there.
Why weren't you going to stay there?
I mean, you've been there, you know, the South. And I say that now.
Uh-huh.
You know what it was like to be in your mid-20s, early 20s in the South.
Yes.
In the 90s.
Yes. Or the 80s.
Or
well,
the
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it was like to be a young adult in the 80s, 90s in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was getting very open. The world was opening up.
Yes, it was.
The South didn't seem to want to go with it.
No, it didn't change a lot. Not real quickly.
And
no.
there weren't a lot of opportunities for girls.
Right.
In the South.
I completely understand and agree. Everybody, you know, the couple girls that went to college that I went to high school with became nurses and teachers.
Yeah.
I think one accountant, but the rest of it, there was nothing else, you know.
She was a lucky accountant because there's not that many accounting jobs back there for girls.
No, yeah.
And they don't pay very well.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you decided why LA?
At the time after college, I moved to Memphis, and I had been working for B.B. King's Blues Club at night while I was a financial analyst for a law firm during the day.
Okay.
And
wow.
while they say, wow, but you were, yes, I know. Can I tell you how pitiful my pay was? $23,000 a year.
Oh my God. To be a financial analyst?
To be a financial
You're kidding.
For the largest law firm in the South.
That's ridiculous.
Even in 1995, that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, yeah.
And
holy cow.
Yeah.
Was it because you were a woman?
I don't think I looked at it that way then.
Mm-hmm.
I think I look at it that way now because I can pull back from it. When you're in it, it's really hard to see it.
Right.
I knew something I wasn't able to get past, either myself or my surroundings. Didn't know what it was.
Right.
And I think, honestly, it was both.
Probably because there are not a lot of resources to help you get past yourself.
Well, and it's not, I mean, there wasn't a lot of desire to get past myself. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very kind of boxed in way of living. You either fit in the box or you don't. And if you don't really fit in the box and you spend your time trying to fit in the box, you're really unhappy.
Either that, or if you try to say, fuck it, I don't fit in this box.
Yeah.
You're even worse.
Yeah, you're right. You're screwed. Because then you have no friends, no dates, nobody to hang out with, can't even go to the movies with a person. You're by yourself. I felt very much the same way, where I didn't fit in the box, but I didn't want to be outside the box, so I needed a new box.
Yeah, I went in search of a new box. And so I went with my night job. I was working at B.B. King's Blues Club on Beale Street when they opened up at Universal.
Oh, okay. So you moved here with a job. That was brilliant.
Yeah, as a hostess at a blues club. Not as a financial analyst. As a hostess at a blues club. Yeah, good times.
But they moved you as a hostess?
I moved myself. I had $600 in my pocket.
Shut up. You had $600 and moved to LA? Where did
went
you live when you got here?
North Hollywood, but Victory and Lankershim.
Uh-huh.
You know the McDonald's there?
Uh-huh. I know exactly.
That apartment building right across the street. My balcony looked onto their balcony.
Shut up.
Oh, yeah. It was tremendous.
That's not a super sought after part of town to live in. Just for people who don't live here?
It was. It's less so now.
Oh, okay.
Because I was working at Universal, so it was just straight shot down Lancashire.
Totally.
But
now it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, not super sought after. No.
I
At the time, there was a club there called FM Station, who was owned by a porn guy named Filthy McNasty.
Because if anybody doesn't know, the Valley is the hub, or was at that time the hub for porn. Like all the porn people lived and worked in the valley, right? I don't know if they do as much anymore, but they did then for sure.
Yeah.
Right? What was his name? Filthy McNasty?
Yeah.
That is brilliant. Do you think he had it legally changed?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. Write the check out.
I don't know where the
Filthy
McNasties of Scotland are.
Wonder what their kilt plaid looks like. Shit brown. That's hysterical.
Oh God, I can't even. Yeah, good times. So it was a rock club. Yeah.
FM club?
FM
Wait.
station.
That was down the street from your apartment?
It was like McDonald's was right across the street, and then on the corner of, where Colfax, you can't actually get onto Lancashire. Yeah, it was right there.
Okay.
It's the Spanish club now.
Yes,
across from the gas station.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that Spanish club.
That used to be Filthy McNasties.
Filthy McNasties.
Yeah. FM
Just a rock
station.
club?
Yeah, they just did cover bands and good times.
And would you hang out there?
Oh, yeah. We'd all, because at BB King's, all the people would just come up to my apartment and we'd go to FM station.
Okay. Do you still know anybody you worked with at BB King's?
I occasionally see people
that
I worked with at BB King's, and that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
I ran into one of them at Gelson's, and I was like, is that Larry? He was like, Terry. I was like, oh my God, it is Larry. Holy cow.
Right? Blast from the past.
Holy smokes. I was like, wow, different girl.
Right?
So long ago.
Right? I know. So much changes. I wish you could impart that to young people. That sounds so old. But I wish you could say, as soon as they get out of high school or college, who you are today is not who you're going to be when you're 40.
No.
So don't make any serious plans because it's all going to change.
And, the really sad thing is that it's very hard to let go of your mistakes that you made 30 years ago.
To forgive yourself, you mean?
To forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And because you always have it in your head that somebody out there knows I was a fuck up.
Right. I know what you mean, yeah.
And you can't fix it. There is nothing you can do to fix it. And that is something that you want to let your kids know.
Right.
That you are always going to know when you fucked up in the future. And there is nothing you're ever going to do to fix it.
Right.
So be very careful.
And that's part of life.
But it's also part of life.
And that
you can't
everybody
keep
has
beating
that.
yourself up. And
Right.
everyone has those
Yeah.
moments that they wish nobody knew about.
Yeah, totally. I have several of those moments I wish nobody knew about.
I wish I never did. I wish I never even thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah. People make horrible mistakes.
Horrible mistakes. I was talking about this yesterday in my therapy session. I was talking about how I used to argue with people, how I didn't know how to articulate myself, so I would just fight, like physically fight. And the last time I got in a fight, I kicked my boyfriend, who was on the ground already. I just kicked the shit out of him, and I went, you know what? Maybe I need to make some changes. But that still bothers me that I actually kicked a person.
Yeah.
Like full-blown kicked the guy.
I actually feel like I used to be able to articulate better
Oh,
than
yeah?
I can now.
Really?
I don't know. I think part of it's perimenopause. Rear its ugly head in my life.
Amen, sister. I got it too.
It's your brain and your mood aren't on the same, like your cognitive brain and your emotional brain are not on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I feel like I'm off step. So I'm feeling one way, but my cognitive brain cannot articulate that feeling.
Right.
Or those emotions until I have now lost that emotion. I don't even know where it was, and I'm like, oh, fuck it.
What does it matter?
It doesn't matter anyway.
Moving
No one
on.
cares.
Moving on. That's so funny.
I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening with me. So I feel like when I was younger, I could actually get my point across better.
Right. That's
than
interesting.
I can now.
I think sometimes I feel that way, and then sometimes
And it may not be perimenopause, it just be I'm old as Methuselah.
It may be that you are more in touch with your feelings, and your feelings are more intense or something.
God knows what it is.
You know,
I know it's not as good as it used to be.
I think marriage and kids do that to you a little bit, where you kind of go, oh, I don't really understand why I'm feeling this way. I think because some of the stuff that happens, or at least to me, is a cumulative effect of something instead of what's happening just in that moment. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't have so much cumulative effect in my day-to-day life.
And you also don't really care when you're sitting at a bar stool and you're telling someone how you actually feel about them. You don't really have anything invested.
Right.
And how they take that information.
Exactly right. So super easy to be like, fuck off, dude. I don't like you.
Yeah.
That's super easy.
like, I don't know what made you decide in your mind that this is what you needed to come out with. That's what you needed to lead with in your conversation, but go away.
Yeah. But you can't do that I can't do that to Bert, you know.
No, I can't. And I never could do that to Joey.
No, I can't do it to Bert either. And I don't really feel that way to Bert. I have a different feeling about him. I go, well, I want to understand what you're saying and at the same time defend myself if I don't agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a weird.
I also want him to take what I'm saying to him and apply it, as opposed to take what I say to him and fuck off.
Totally. Yeah, you want to affect some change.
I have an investment in you actually listening to what I say.
Yeah. So maybe that makes it more vulnerable, or
it does.
It does for me. It makes it really vulnerable.
Yeah, and they always seem so confident.
Yeah.
In their speech.
Don't they? It's terrible to argue with.
And it is terrible to argue with.
It is.
I have to come back.
Yep.
And say, you're going to have to listen to me.
Yes.
Because and comedians, I think in general, or big personalities, not necessarily comedians, but they are so big that they suck the energy out of the room and out of you. So when you're having a discussion, it's never a discussion.
No. Yes.
It's a talking to.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. Bert and I had a very yucky argument 2 days ago. He's been, on the road. He comes home and we are having, I'm getting a talking to. And the whole time I'm going, you are missing a piece of this puzzle. And it's an important piece of the puzzle. And I need you to hear it. And you can't hear it. And I push through my stubborn self and try to tell him anyway. And
how'd that work out?
It was not good. It was not even kind of good.
Because we keep thinking we're dealing with someone with a rational
right? Not true. It's completely not true. And I don't know about Joey, but for Bert, all that matters when he's upset is his perspective and what's going on for him. There's no how does that make you feel? Or what do you think about that? Or what do you have to say for yourself even? I am not allowed to speak when he is in that heightened place. All I can do is take it. Take it. And at a certain point, I have to come back and go,
are you done?
Do you even care how I feel about any of this stuff?
Right.
Because I would like to think you do. But in that moment, you absolutely don't.
Yeah, and honestly, to try, and I do the same thing as you do, because there's some ingrained part of your psyche that says you're dealing with a rational person. That all people are rational. So just talk to them like a rational person. You're not dealing with a rational person.
No, it's not, no.
You're dealing with a different type of personality that is not going to take constructive criticism in the middle of an argument.
Oh, no, never, no.
So...
But now can he take it later?
Yes.
Because Bert can too. He's very self-reflective.
Once he gets it off his chest,
same.
about an hour to 3 hours later, he comes back and apologizes for his tirade.
Yeah, same thing.
And it's sometimes, not often, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That was inexcusable. Depends on what it was.
It depends on what it was, yeah. I'm so glad we're talking about this because I do feel a lot of the times like I am a crazy person for allowing that.
I feel weak.
I don't know that I feel weak.
I feel weak in that moment.
I don't feel weak in that moment. I feel I have repeated the cycle I grew up in. And that makes me really irresponsible.
I married my dad.
For myself. I married a combination of my two parents.
I married my dad.
I married a combo cheese, man. He is a combo cheese. And in that moment, when I don't have a voice, I spent my entire life with my mother with no voice. With no voice from someone who is actually has no self-reflective, has no come back and apologize, has no accountability ever. She actually has a personality disorder. So she cannot ever say, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Now, Bert has the healthy piece of that, but when we're in that moment, I go, what the fuck was I doing? I'm just repeating what I grew up in. I have chosen to continue what I grew up in. What the hell am I doing? That's what happens for me when he takes my voice away.
I think it's important that if the argument starts in front of Mercy, that it also, the apology and the working it out also has to happen in front of her.
That's smart. We don't ever fight in front of our kids.
Well,
he goes, come back to the man cave.
Yeah, no, we don't. I grew up in a house where everything was out in the open. Which,
totally. Hey, it's okay. Parents fight. It's part of life. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I mean, I just, it's important for me to, it just isn't all the fight. And
So
there is
she
a way to
knows.
work it through that
Yeah.
this is a marriage. This isn't
Perfect.
utopia.
Right. No, I think that's really smart. We talk to our kids about arguments we've had. And we say, listen, we were mad. And they can always smell them brewing, you know.
Well.
You know, Bert,
You can smell them brewing too.
I
though.
smelled them. Oh, are you kidding me? Monday, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
days.
And then, no, he's been gone. And he was
that's-
great Super Bowl Sunday. I was
great.
like, okay, cool, awesome. Monday morning, he was great. And then we went to sell Girl Scout cookies at his management's office Monday afternoon. And I was like, uh-oh, something shifted. Uh-oh, hi, somebody's firing hot. He's really firing hot. And then you just started, I couldn't do anything right. I would go, achoo, and he'd go, seriously? Like that. Where you go, I just fucking sneezed. Seriously? You're going to get me sick? Seriously? And I went, okay, here we go.
And it wasn't even about you, probably.
Oh, it had nothing to do with me at all.
Oh, yeah.
However, it was blamed on me entirely. I was overly sensitive. No, actually, that was you. I was overreacting. No, actually, that was you. I was blah, blah, blah. No, actually, it was a full-blown projection of what was going on in himself onto me, and then I was responsible for all of his feelings. When really what happened was he was firing hot, and he gets what's what we call it, when he's just, he's his anxiety's tweaking, and he's not processing things.
Yep.
His brain's moving too fast because he's in this like hamster wheel of anxiety.
And I think that's a comedian.
I think it is. I think
Either that or it's big, not necessarily comedians, but those with very large personalities that they.
It's highly creative people, I think. And a highly creative person could be a lawyer. Doesn't have to be someone in the arts. You know, they're creative problem solvers or highly creative people, I think, function in a different place. And I know Bert definitely has OCD, definitely has anxiety, panic disorder problems. And he knows, he's admitted it. We've talked about it a ton.
But do you have them?
Fuck no, I don't have anything.
See, I have them.
You do? Then how do you deal with that? Because I have nothing. I am the most, he sometimes tells me I'm pretty much fucking dead inside because I go, I can handle anything. I'm like, I have this little like two pre-cancer things on my face that I just found out about. And I have to go have them removed. And Bert's like, you're not freaking out? I'm not fucking thinking about it. I don't have to go till Monday. Why would I think about it? It's not even in my brain. And he's like, I would be dismantled. Totally dismantled. Thinking I definitely have like brain tumor because I just
Yeah,
don't
see, I
do
don't go
that.
that far.
No, he does. He goes that far. But tell me about your anxiety. I had no idea you had any kind of anxiety.
Horrible anxiety. I get it, and it spreads across. I can feel my panic attacks happening. They start spreading across my chest and then go up into my throat, and I can just feel my heart just start to race. And I never realized what that was, especially because I guess it really manifested more when I was older, like after 16, after it,
Yeah.
and then I was playing ball. So I was playing a lot of basketball. So I think athletes get through a lot of that with the serotonin
Probably.
from just the runner's high. You're just constantly moving anyway. College, I think looking back at it is when it really sat in on me.
Is college?
Yeah. Because I didn't know how to function. And
Didn't know how to function socially, or
I did not know how to function socially. I did not know how to function academically. High school was always so easy.
yeah,
And it was never changing.
right.
It was this, maybe the classes changed, but they didn't get really harder. They just got different.
Right.
And basketball was basketball. And I did have a nervous breakdown in my junior year in high school.
You did? What was that like? Like, what do you mean?
Who can tell? I blacked out. So I was doing all of this mess and I don't remember any of it. Evidently, I kicked the school secretary.
Oh my goodness.
I don't have any memory of it at all.
I've seen someone have a nervous breakdown. It's scary to watch because you can tell that they are truly unhinged and that they are not in their body.
No.
They're not inside themselves.
Evidently, I went crazy.
What,
But
do you know
I
what
don't
triggered
remember
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd been playing basketball since the 5th grade. My sister played. She was a star athlete. And I wasn't that good. But I wanted to be.
Yeah.
It was the one thing I wasn't good at.
Ah,
It was so important for me.
yeah.
And I worked so hard at it.
Yeah.
But my coach told me I'd never start.
Oh, that's
He
not
said, so
nice.
you could stay on the team if you want, but you'll just be a role player, like to show the other kids that you don't have to be a star and just show up to practice.
It's not a very good way to be a coach. That's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of started growing in my brain that day, the implications of that.
You're never good enough.
Yeah.
Never good enough.
That I just
Don't deserve.
exploded at one point.
Bless your heart. That's terrible.
I started crying and then I started hyperventilating. And that's the last I remember.
Wow. That's crazy. And you're still so upset by it. It really touched such a nerve.
I'm upset that I hurt somebody.
Oh, right. Well, you were not in control of your faculties. I mean,
That I don't even remember it.
yeah, you were not in. I mean, when I watched that girl, there was a girl, I was a waitress in New York, and there was a young lady who was a waitress also who was obsessed with David Lynch. And David Lynch came to lunch at our restaurant, and she had a nervous breakdown.
Oh, God.
Like fucking breakdown. Like went to the hospital, strapped to a gurney, and stayed in the psychiatric ward for like a month. She had a legit like frothing, foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, that's what they were there. They said I was kicking and screaming and
she
frothing
was
at the mouth.
She was frothing, like froth. And I remember just being like, she looks like a wild animal. She's not in her, there's no person.
The principal
here.
actually told my dad, or told me, that if you want to have those moments, you'll need to go do that in the woods somewhere.
What? Who told you that?
The principal.
Where'd you go to school? In Tennessee. Yeah, that sounds about like what somebody would say from where we grew up.
He didn't say that to me after my dad got a hold of him.
Oh, I'm sure not.
It's the last time he spoke to me after my dad got a hold of him.
That's terrible, Terry. What a terrible story. What a terrible
And I don't
story.
ever talk about it. And it's funny, I just don't even think about the fact that happened. And then when I do like maybe once every 10 years actually even think about that. It's like I still don't think about it.
Yeah.
About the emotions that I was having that day.
Right.
I think now I do more because, or I don't ever want Mercy to go through that. And I see her having anxiety attacks, and it scares.
She has them?
She does the same thing that Joey does with his hands. When she starts to have an anxiety attack, her hands move and she starts twisting her hands. And I'm just like, oh, don't do that.
I know what that is.
Please don't have it. And then I feel like I'm projecting my anxiety onto her, and either she's inherited it from me or she's learning it from me.
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. Georgia has anxiety. The first panic attack she had, you just described how her physical body felt. She was in 5th grade, I think, and she was talking out of her head. And I was like, what is happening? And I sat her in my lap, and her heart was like a rabbit. It was beating so fast, and she kept going, this is my last day of life. This is my last day on this planet. This is the last day I'm here. Last day. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow. This is the last day. And I was like, girlfriend, I think you're having like a chemical panic attack. So look me in the eyes and talk to me. Stay with me. I am here. You are safe. You're going to be okay. But it was a physical happening. It wasn't even like, it didn't even look mental. It looked like a physical thing was happening with her. And it was so scary.
It ceases to be a mental thing.
It becomes so physical and very, very real.
And that's scarier because you can feel it affecting you and you can't stop it.
Right. It is crazy. Well, we got her some help, and it has really helped. I don't know if you're interested, if ever Mercy's old enough, but I found a therapist that does cognitive behavioral therapy and taught her some tools, like how to recognize when it's happening and to practice some self-talk that could stop it before it got. She was like, once it gets to a certain point, none of the tools work. Yeah. You're just going to have a panic attack. So, but if you know what's happening and you can put those tools in place before it gets to that point, most of the time you can stop it. Not all the time, but at least you know, well, if I can get 4 out of 5 stopped, I'm doing pretty good. And it's really worked for Georgia. But now Georgia was older. She was 5th grade when we went to see this doctor.
I think it's harder for younger.
Absolutely. Georgia had no signs of that at Mercy's age. It showed up around 4th, 5th grade is when hers showed up. But it's Bert. Bert's sisters have this exact same thing. So I think it was hereditary. I think it's
Mercy
part of
has
wiring.
the same. And this is the thing, is I don't know that if it's something that she inherited from us or it's something that she feels pressure from us and therefore it's manifesting. But it's...
Right. If it's a learned behavior.
If it's a learned behavior, because she has anxiety over not doing things perfectly.
Georgia, type A.
Yeah.
Type A, yep.
I mean, she has... that was the one constructive criticism that her kindergarten teacher gave us, is that she full on gets really emotionally unhinged if you say she needs to do something better.
Yeah, Georgia was very similar. And that was why I made her play softball. Because I thought you need to disappoint a team and recover from that. It needs to be not just about you. And you need to lose. You need to play your best game ever and still lose. And figure out how to process that. And to go, I was the worst player on the team. And I caused the losing. And how do I process that? I was the best player on the team, and we still lost. How do I process that? Because I felt like a team sport was a good, safe place for her to work on those.
Depends on the team.
It depends on the coach. It sounds
Right,
like it depends on the coach.
And I will say this. I came back. I'm sure he didn't realize what the damage he was causing. Or I don't think that he would have done it.
Right.
And how could he have known? This was 1987.
Right.
These were not the most enlightened of times.
No.
But I came back.
That's good.
Because I was like, you're not going to do this to me.
Right. But that's good.
And I came back the first day of practice, and we ran a mile, and I was the first one back.
That's great.
And he goes, what happened to you? And I was like, I don't know what happened to me. My brain changed over the summer.
Right.
Mainly, I wasn't scared of, you'd already done all you're going to do to me.
Right, right. Yeah.
And I think that was just a mental shift in my head.
Right.
I was so scared up to that point of disappointing him, of disappointing the team, of disappointing my parents. And then I was like, I've already done. There. Right. It's done.
Band-Aid's ripped off. Let's go.
Let's go.
It would be hard, too, to have a sibling.
And then we went to Substate.
That's
with
awesome.
me starting.
Well, and you started. So, see, he didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
He might have. I just didn't know how to take it.
But you did because you persevered.
I didn't know how to take it that day.
Oh, that day. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well,
I think that I didn't have the tools to hear it.
Right.
But after that.
Right.
I heard it.
Right. And you got it.
I heard it and I got it. And it wasn't even, I don't know what, it wasn't me trying to make him proud of me anymore. It was more of, he's wrong.
That's kind
and I'm going to show him he's wrong.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have if he hadn't said it to me.
Right. You know, it's funny.
So it's like I hate him for it, and I'm glad he did it.
It's one of those tough love moments that a lot of people need and don't get, right?
Yeah.
Bert had that tough love moment with his dad that changed the course of his life, where he had moved to New York. His dad was kind of footing the bill, I'll help you get started. And at a certain point, his dad called him and said, I'm embarrassed to tell my friends that I'm supporting you. I'm embarrassed to tell my friends who ask, hey, how's Bert? That you're just fucking around in New York City. You're an embarrassment. You need to start working your ass off. What do you need to do to be a comic? Then you need to start doing it because I'm embarrassed. And that conversation was so hurtful to Bert and turned everything around. He started working his ass off from that conversation.
Did you ever have one of those moments? Did you ever need one of those moments?
I had a
she
rough. She
grabs the microphone.
I had a rough life growing up. I think I had those moments with myself. I had a lot of moments that should have woken me up that didn't.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of moments that should have been like, hey, what are you doing?
And it's so cute they call them aha moments now.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a really sugarcoating it.
No, mine were like,
I like the fuck up moment.
Splat! That was my moment. Splat! Oh, you're going to pick yourself up and keep going? Splat! Okay. Well, one day you're not going to get up if you keep going splat. So at some point, my wake up moments came in weird places. Like I've talked about this a bunch on my podcast, but I was a mess. I was a drunk. I was arrested for drunk driving. I was fist fighting in bars. I was running through boyfriends every 3 months, new boyfriend. I was monogamous to the boyfriend, but I was like, trade up. I was like, you boring.
No, I love you. I don't love you anymore.
Yeah, I'm done.
I really like him.
And I was really hurting myself. I was hurting myself to the point where I was losing my hair. My liver was enlarged. I was in terrible health. And I was 20. I drank a fifth of vodka on my 20th birthday by myself. I was a wreck. And I went to a Halloween party, and this psychic was like, ooh, you have some problems with your mom. I think you need to go see this guy. I was like, okay. And you have really bad headaches. And I did. I think this guy's going to help you. Right? Couldn't have been the alcohol. So I went to see this guy, and I walked in the door, and he went, ooh, you have some serious problems with your mom. I can help you, but if I start helping you, you're not going to be the same again. Like, you have to know if you start walking down this path, you can't walk down that other path anymore. So you got to make a choice what you're doing here. And that, and a combination of realizing the depth of my unhappiness and how I didn't want to be unhappy, and how all of a sudden I was figuring out, oh, the excessive drunk driving is because I'm really unhappy. Oh, the excessive dating is because I'm really unhappy. Oh, the hopping from major to major in college is because I'm really unhappy. So the root of everything is that I'm really unhappy. So how do I get happy? So I said, I'll do anything to get happy. So you tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's what I did. But I didn't have like a moment. There was no talking to like that. There was a moment. This is so cheesy, Terry. It's so fucking cheesy. But I was driving. My dad lived an hour from Atlanta. And I was in college in Atlanta. And I was driving home from my dad's house sobbing. Because my parents divorced when I was 7. And my dad lived in this hometown. And my mom moved us to Atlanta. And every other weekend when my dad came to get me, when he would drop me off, I had a terrible relationship with my mom. I would sob. Like, I would stand at the door and look out the window and just sob and sob. And I sometimes remember my mom picking me up and putting me in the bed still sobbing. So leaving my dad, even when I was in college, sometimes would trigger that old stuff where I was like suddenly abandoned, even though I'm just going to college. It's like regular for most people. For me, it was really traumatic sometimes because I really wanted to be with my dad and had no choice. And he was so far away, I couldn't. So I was sobbing, driving back to Atlanta. and the Eagles song Desperado came on the radio. And the lyrics to that song, I was like, that's fucking it. I got to get myself happy. I got to let somebody love me. Like, I'm not letting anybody love me. All I'm doing is destroying everything in my life. Every relationship except the one with my dad is being destroyed regularly. So I am doing what they're talking about in this song, and I got to fucking get right. I got to get right.
But because
I
would go through those moments.
You would?
And I can
go right back in, right?
Keep doing it. It's not like, oh, I get it now. I need to be happy. That's easy. I'll just be happy.
Right? I had so many of those moments. I was in a sorority, and we had this secret meeting one night, and my sorority sisters pulled me into this one dorm room, and they sat me down, and they were like, we think you need to go to rehab. And I was like, I think you need to go fuck yourselves. I'm not going to rehab. There's nothing wrong with me. And they were like, you're drinking like...
Yeah, and so Tommy had your panties on his head the other night. So fuck
exactly.
off.
Exactly. Well, in that part of it, I mean, we were at a social. What do you want from me?
It's like when those things would happen to me, I'm like, here's the pot calling the kettle black.
Right?
I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, I'm
never going to hear you.
I was the same. Well, I heard that song, right? I didn't even hear it when I was arrested. I was in jail going, fuck these people. I'm not that drunk. You know, that guy, the guy who arrested me, kept the whole time hitting on me, saying, you look just like my ex-fiance. I don't give a fuck. Fuck off. You're arresting me. Like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, want to go out on a date? You're cuffing me and putting me in a car.
If I were just a little soberer, maybe.
Maybe. Or a little less sober, maybe. I don't know. But
you're really not my type.
Woke me up. Nothing did. And then I think it was just the alignment of stars. I've always said I have really big guardian angels somewhere who just took care of me most of the time. There are moments when I think they were out to coffee, but for the most part, all of a sudden somebody like took my head and turned it this way, and I went, oh, okay. Now, not to be under any illusion that making those big changes was easy. It was extremely hard to stop drinking and to stop lying. I was lying to fucking everybody like that. Slick Rick, no problem. I tell you lie, don't cost me nothing for me to, because I grew up with someone who was a pathological liar, has a personality disorder, is narcissistic as a disorder, so everything relates back to her. I didn't understand how to function in reality, like no, people don't trust you if you lie to them. Well, she had no friends, duh, because people don't trust you if you lie to them.
Yeah.
But that was my reality. So I had to rebuild. Like, I had to go back in and get those values that you think are just inherent in people. They weren't inherent in my parenting. They were with my dad, but I didn't grow up with my dad.
Right.
I was living every day with a crazy person. You know, she did so many things that were so not.
But then I think
okay.
you build up a defense system.
You do.
To
protect yourself.
Not just protect yourself, to navigate that world.
Absolutely. To survive.
And you now have those tools
yes.
instead of the normal tools. And that's what you apply to everyone else.
Yes, because that's all you got.
Yeah, and it's very hard. Like, I am friendly and seem to make friends. I don't keep them.
Interesting. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Because you're a lovely person. I don't know why you don't keep
I don't
friends.
know. And I don't know if it's them or me, to be honest with you.
Huh.
That starts the... And I also don't know if it's this town, because that seems to be...
This town is interesting. It's ever shifting.
This town is ever shifting. The people in it are... I call them surface friends.
Yeah, some of them are surface friends, yeah.
It's hard to see who's a surface friend at first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in that friendship for a while to know where you actually stand.
Right.
Back home, they don't bother.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
I either like you or I don't like you.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to sugarcoat it or pretend like I like you when I don't actually.
Totally.
I don't have anything to gain.
Right.
So it's hard to navigate out here in the friend realm. But I feel like I hear you. You take these things and you're not applying them in a good way.
Right.
To other people, and it's to your detriment.
Correct. Yeah, it was totally to my detriment. So I had to learn a whole new set of tools. I had to learn how to I don't have anxiety like you do, but people have anxiety. It would make me anxious to be honest, because then that's very vulnerable.
It would make me anxious to admit I'd done something wrong.
Right. That's very Southern, I think.
I have horrible anxiety when I actually mess up.
Yeah, it is hard when you mess up to say, hey, I've really fucked this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really hard.
And I have anxiety the whole way through. I have anxiety that I'm going to screw it up. And even when I do screw it up, now I have anxiety because now I have to admit that I've screwed it up.
So is it a preordained destiny? I'm definitely screwing this up. Here it comes.
No,
Ready?
Because I don't usually screw up.
Then why are you so concerned with
I
it?
don't know. Ask my daughter. She's the same way I am.
Type A.
Type A. You're not even a fuck up.
Right? But you already believe you're a fuck up. And you haven't even been on the planet long enough to be a fuck up. Mercy's not ever. She's a perfect human being. She's amazing.
Broke down in tears. Not just tears. In like sobbing panic that when she was learning how to draw hearts, that she couldn't get them right.
Oh, bless her heart.
Perfectly symmetrical hearts. In the shower, mind you, with shower crayons.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, Mercy, honey, it's art. Art's not perfect.
Right?
It's supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be perfect. And she's just shaking. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, please stop, because you're reminding mommy of mommy. Please stop. Oh, God, it's painful to watch.
You should have her hang out with Isla a little bit.
And you can't stop it.
Right.
It's just like you can't get her to get past that.
Right.
And she's still not past it.
Aw.
It's so crazy.
Well, I didn't really think Bert was type A. But Bert's mother said when he was little, terrible student. He's dyslexic. So terrible student, like C-D student always. And his teacher brought Gigi in and was like, Bert puts a lot of pressure on himself. He's type A. And Gigi was like, are you talking about my kid? Are you fucking kidding me? He's like a C student. He could give a shit. And he went, no, that's not how he's type A. He's type A about social. Everything socially needs to be a certain way. He needs to be perceived a certain way. He needs to be liked a certain amount by the right people. And he needs to be at the right party on the right day, and he really pressures himself to get that right. So you just need to know about your son that he is actually a type A. And Gigi was like, wow, he's right. He checks all those boxes, but it ain't at school. It ain't an academic.
Joey's type A, but it's not the traditional academic.
You have to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Joey's not traditionally type A,
Yeah, same as Bert.
but he puts a lot of pressure on himself.
And a lot of effort into what he does, right?
Yeah.
A lot of effort.
Yeah, and you sometimes discount that. You don't think about that. It's, sometimes you get caught in the trap of, well, at least you got to go out tonight.
You do that? Oh, I don't ever do that. I'm super introverted. I'm a highly social introvert, and I'm like, home by myself, 10-4. I'm
No.
good.
I love to be home by myself. That's
Right.
the reason me and Joey work.
Right. Same here.
Except I'm not home by myself anymore.
At 10-4 also.
Yeah. But I'm no longer alone.
Yeah.
When I was alone,
Yes.
it was great.
Right.
But that's not there anymore. But he is as of late noticed and has given, like, do you need to go take a ride? And I've got her if you want to go take a ride for 30 minutes to an hour.
That's good.
Yeah. Because he goes, everybody needs to just go away for a minute.
Yeah. Everybody recharges their battery differently. Bert recharges his battery by being with people. I recharge my battery by being alone. And that, that's the difference between a true extrovert and an introvert, is how you charge your battery. And I have to respect that he needs people. And he has a harder time respecting that I need to be alone. And, my kids are older now. So now I am kind of alone at night. Not entirely. I can't just go out anytime I want to. But I can do pretty much. I mean, if I want to watch a movie that's not appropriate for them, I can say, hey, I'm watching a movie and it's not for you. So let me know if you need something. And they're good.
Right.
But at Mercy's age, I couldn't do that. And
I can totally do that.
You can?
She goes to bed at 8:30.
Oh, well, yeah, you can do that because of her bedtime. That's right. But yeah,
She does too. She'll go in her room and play. I'm like, this is mommy's stuff. This is adult stuff. So you stay in your room and watch whatever you want to on your TV. And
right.
Yeah.
It would be harder to have one, too, because mine could occupy each other.
Yes.
If
it is hard to have one.
It's hard to have one because you're the occupier.
Well, but I started so late, Leanne. I can't have another one.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I would be, even if I lived to 80, they would only be 30. Would I be ready to not have my parents at 30?
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I started way before you, but I still feel like I was late,
Right.
Because we were like, oh, we would have had a third, but Isla was such a handful. We would have needed a gap between 2 and 3, a long gap. And that long gap, I was too old.
Yeah.
So if we'd started a few years earlier, we could have had a third. But man, Isla Kreischer was all I could do to keep her alive till she was about 4. I thought she was going to kill herself all the time. She's jumping off shit. She used to dig shit out of the garbage and eat it when she was a baby. I had to lock everything down. She'd play in the toilet if I didn't leave. I mean, like when she was too big to be doing that. She was crazy. Eat dirt like on the reg. She would go outside, lay down face first on the ground and eat the fucking dirt. I'm not joking. She'd sand at the beach.
Oh, we love Isla.
She was never still. She screamed if she was talking. It was a scream. Wah! All the time, to the point where my mother-in-law, who's like an early childhood expert, opens preschools, pointed her finger in Isla's face when she was about 18 months old and went, shut up! Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that to my own granddaughter. Because she screamed constantly because she had so much energy.
Right.
Could not sit to read a book, would not watch a video. Like, I thought she was ADHD. She wasn't. She was just HD.
Right.
Hyperactive, massively. And I was like, she's going to fucking die. If I had a third baby, somebody would die. One of the 3 would be dead.
I would die if I had another one. I think. Yeah. At 6 months, when Mercy was 6 months old, I was 43 and I had not slept
Yeah. Right.
in a year and a half.
Yep.
And between the breastfeeding and the starving to death in the middle of the night and going to work, and nobody's happy that I'm at work, and I'm having to try to pump at work, and I'm giving all my money to someone else to watch my kid. And
Yeah. It's awful.
It's just, I feel like such a bad person. And I'm so tired
Yeah.
that I was like, if I were pregnant right now, it would kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember feeling that way too.
This would kill me.
Yeah. I remember feeling that way too, especially the sleep deprivation is inhumane. I mean,
is.
it's inhumane. That's why we're tribal creatures. We should be living with the tribe, because a woman would have a baby and all the elder women would just pass it from woman to woman.
Yeah,
And
wet
it was
nurses. Anybody could nurse your kid.
Totally.
Yeah, sure. Breast is best when there's a village.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Screw you.
That
Formula.
was the same. I mean, was Joey on the road during that time a lot?
Has Joey ever not been on the road?
Yeah, tell me about it. Same. Bert started getting on the road when Georgia was 3 days old. He left, and he's never been back in any consistent manner. And I was like, wow. I was working too when she was born, and breastfeeding and doing all of it, because he was gone 5 days a week. It's not a joke. It's like
No.
war. Like, I feel like I had a little bit of, not PTSD, but a little bit of like trauma-based problems.
And it's not postpartum.
No.
It's just you're just overwhelmed. You just got too much on your plate, and your brain just cannot function because you're not sleeping.
Yeah, because you're not sleeping. That's right.
And you're starving all the time.
I know, yeah. You can't get enough to eat.
Oh my God.
And you don't have time to cook anything healthy.
No.
Yeah, it's just awful.
I was going to bed with granola bars. and apple juices like in the room with me, because I knew I'd wake up as soon as she breastfed in the middle of the night. I'd have to eat something because I would be so hungry.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh my God.
It's a crazy process.
It is a crazy process.
It is. It's a crazy process.
And nobody tells you any of this stuff. It's all beautiful, and the feeling of the life that's growing in you. Yeah, that's great. Stop sugarcoating it.
Yeah, it's like war. I swear to
Stop
God.
sugarcoating it. And all these little teenage girls, they won't want it.
No.
It's stop telling him how beautiful it is.
Right.
Because it's god awful in the beginning.
And it is beautiful, and it's awful, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and it's awful,
Yeah.
and it's amazing, and it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's both.
It's both.
Yeah, it's both.
But if you only give them one side of it, then it's all romanticized. And one, you're ill prepared for it.
100%, yeah. Totally ill prepared.
Completely.
Uh-huh.
And, nobody would ever move away from home. Because everybody would always want their mother around to help them.
Well, maybe not me, but I know what you
Right.
mean. I know what you mean. Yes. I had my dad's sister, who was a labor and delivery nurse in Georgia, came out both times I had babies, and and her sister came out also the second time when Isla was born, and I don't know what I would have done without them. I don't know what I would have done without either of those women on both those occasions. It was just my aunt, who was not the nurse, just cooked all the time. And I was like, oh my God, that one piece of the puzzle that's just handled 3 meals a day for the 10 or 12 days she was here
Right.
was a godsend. Just that, not to mention the other one she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She took Georgia. I didn't even see Georgia till she was like 10 days old. My Aunt Diane just had her.
My aunt, who is a nurse, was supposed to come out with my mother for Mercy. And she got the shingles.
Oh no.
And my mother has never been on an airplane.
Okay, so she wasn't coming out by herself.
She wasn't
yeah.
coming out by herself.
No.
And I was like, no one's coming.
Oh boy.
No. You can't come with shingles.
Yeah, no, can't
Oh, no,
come
no,
with
no,
you. Yeah. Keep your help in Tennessee. Appreciate it.
Go, bye.
Yeah. So now let's go back to, you were working at the Blues Club.
Yeah.
When did you start working at the Comedy Store?
1999.
Okay.
I did not meet Joey until 2000 because he was on the road
Right.
for a year.
That's a long
I
time.
started in July of 1999. I met Joey July or June of 2000. We started dating the 1st of July.
Okay, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind.
Was it?
Yeah, great.
How was it a whirlwind? Tell me about it.
It was one, I didn't know he was homeless.
He was homeless.
Just start there. Which we've talked about on Joey's podcast, but Joey was on the road. He was living out of his car. Mm-hmm. While he was on the road, his car got towed.
Oh no.
So he was bed hopping at this apartment building where all these other people lived, this Houston crew, Ralphie May.
Yeah.
So he was, and Josh Wolf, and he was bed hopping between Ralphie May and Josh Wolf and some other friends in the building. And I thought he just lived there.
Oh, how funny.
I didn't know he didn't actually own any furniture.
Oh, Joey.
So he started staying over at my place, and he had his duffel bag. And I was like, do you want to bring something of yours here? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, a lamp.
Right.
Or
Anything?
TV or radio or something. He goes, this is my stuff. I go, everything you own fits in this duffel bag. He goes, yeah. And I was like, oh my
Okay.
God.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he's homeless. And now I'm like in for a penny, in for a pound at this point. It's been like 2 months.
Right.
It's like, what do you say?
Right? What do you say? Never mind.
Yeah. And then we were kind of not telling anybody that we were dating because I was a waitress at the store and he was a comedian. It's kind of not okay.
Yeah.
And then we run into Eleanor Kerrigan, who's a comedian now, but she was the head waitress at the time.
Okay.
And she goes, are you guys living together? And he was like, yes. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's happening. This guy's with a duffel bag. I'm so confused.
He won't leave. I don't know.
He's like a foot fungus. I just can't get
He
rid of
really
it.
is. I don't know what's happening. I'm just here. Dude, I'm just letting it happen. I don't think that I knew or really even cared so much about what happened with our relationship until I actually, and this is going to sound terrible, but I don't really care. You don't actually get to see many people's sets when you're a waitress. I mean, you see parts of them, bits and pieces of them, but you're busy.
Yeah.
You're not standing around watching comedy all night.
Right.
But Joey used to host the Sunday night potluck at the Comedy Store.
Uh-huh.
And then do the regular lineup after the open micers.
Right.
Sunday. I saw him and Brian Holtzman take that original room and destroy it one night.
Yeah.
And he has no written material
Right.
at the time.
Right.
Like Joey's just talking.
Right.
He doesn't even know what he's about to say. Nobody knows what he's about to say.
Right.
And he just rips it apart. And I'm like, if this man actually ever focused
Uh-huh.
and got his shit together, he just doesn't believe that he can.
Right.
I think when I saw that I could actually help him
Yeah.
and that he needed my help
Right.
is when it gelled for me.
Right. Right.
That it wasn't just like you said, every 3 months.
Right.
Because I was in that same cycle as you.
Right.
I was drinking ungodly amounts of Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
And just every 3 months.
Right.
Oh, you're fine. We'll take you. Yeah, done with you now.
Done. Yeah.
We'll take you. And it was
A partnership.
It was a partnership.
Uh-huh.
He needed me.
Yeah.
He didn't really want me, I don't think.
Well, I can find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, but I don't think he wanted anything at that time except cocaine and maybe a little stability.
Right.
But honestly...
Well, most people want those two things at all times, right? Cocaine and stability. Stability in getting your cocaine? Or just, I'm joking.
He was just... I think that's all he saw in front of him was coke and how to get it, and comedy is a way to get that.
Right.
And I need a girlfriend to make it all happen. It was not love at first sight.
Right.
I don't think on either one of our parts. I think that if we say that, we're lying to ourselves and everyone else.
Right.
It was mutually beneficial.
Right.
For us I had someone I could turn my energies towards.
Right.
And someone who wasn't going to pull the punches, even though he had his own demons.
Yeah.
Was not afraid to tell me what mine were.
Right. 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 It's a partnership.
And that, I think, is the reason it actually worked.
Right. I have similar, although we did have a pretty romantic start. Like our start was romantic. I think we discovered the partnership later, maybe. But I recognized the partnership without knowing that's what I recognized pretty early on, and going, oh, okay. The problem I had always with men was that I would get really bored. I would get really bored really fast. And I came from a pretty complex background. And so I felt like if they couldn't really see me and hear me in all my complexities, then I don't know what I'm doing. And he was the first person I felt that could see the complexities and go, oh, all these things make you who you are. And I actually really like that. I would keep a lot of complexities from guys because I go, well, you don't want to know about all this shit, and you don't want to handle my mother is a nightmare.
See, I would do the opposite. I'd throw it all in their face and say, can you handle that?
No, I would not do that.
And I knew what their answer was going to be.
No, right? Can't do it.
But it's a way for me to still be the martyr.
Right, that makes sense. I didn't do that. I would keep it all quiet, and then I would find myself later when I was dating and when I was older, I would keep all my stuff really quiet, and I would watch the environment that person functioned in, and I'd go, they won't be able to understand me at all. And then I'd withdraw. I'd go, you're not going to get it in any capacity. So I can't be here because I can't be half myself. So he was the first person I thought, okay, I can show him all the uglies and he's still okay with that. But he's still good. Because, as a comic, some of what goes on in their brain is pretty ugly. Mm-hmm. And I think to be able to be in touch with the ugly and still be okay with yourself, maybe to love yourself and being in touch with the ugly is a bit of a stretch. But to be okay with yourself, then you can be okay with the ugly in other people.
I think the thing is Joey didn't care about my ugly.
Right.
Which threw me for a loop.
Right.
He was like, you don't have ugly.
You don't know ugly, right?
You don't know ugly.
You don't know from ugly. Let me tell you some ugly. He does have some ugly.
Oh my God.
He got a little bit ugly.
And then he started telling the ugly and I was like, boy, I don't know the ugly.
I'm like Lily White over here.
I'm like, oh my God, now I can be misjudgmental.
Right? That's funny.
Oh, well, then. Then I was uncomfortable because then I was like, we're not dating each other.
Oh, how funny.
And he goes, the fuck we're not.
Oh, how
and
funny.
I was like, I didn't know how to take that. Because I was used to them going, we're not dating. And me going, but I don't understand. And it was she was on the other foot and I did not know.
How funny. He claimed you.
Oh my God. I was like, I really don't know what's going on.
How funny.
It threw me for a complete loop.
The fuck
because I was used to it being the other way around.
Right.
I was like, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, looking for a way to get out of it the whole time. And then it took a long time to get that out of my system.
That trying to get out of it?
Trying to look for an escape route instead of trying to find a way to make it work.
Right. Why do you think you were doing that? Too vulnerable? Too scary?
Habit.
Habit. Isn't that interesting?
I was uncomfortable with you. You go through your whole youth and 20s saying that what you really want is someone to want you and to be a team with someone.
Yeah.
But after a while, when you haven't been and no one seems to want to partner up with you,
Yep.
you kind of get used to the not having to be responsible for someone else sort of scenario.
Right.
It's just you.
Right.
And no one's telling you what to do. And you don't have to really care for what they like it or they don't like it.
Right.
Eventually. But you also get accustomed to not feeling worth it.
Yeah.
So it was like I was always waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like for years and I would say even now there are times when you're feeling vulnerable that you're waiting for the shoe to fall.
Yeah, I understand what you mean exactly. I've said that exact phrase so many times. I'm waiting for something's gonna fall apart for sure. What is it? When's it happening? It's definitely coming. What is it? And when it doesn't come after a certain point of time, you go, okay, well maybe it's not. Maybe it's not, but it takes a long time to get to that place where you go, a fight's just a fight. It's not the other shoe dropping. It's just a fight.
Right.
I think what helped me is that I got pregnant on the pill. So I got pregnant trying not to get pregnant, and we weren't married. So I think, I'm a very faithful person. I'm not a very religious person, but I very much believe when stuff like that happens, that's your path. Like, I didn't try to get pregnant. I was trying not to get pregnant. We'd been dating for over a year. We knew we were in love. We knew we were probably headed in that direction. But from my background, my mother is currently just completed her 6th divorce, and my dad has had 2.
Congratulations.
I know, right? So I don't have any kind of like, hey, you work things out, blah, blah, blah. This is how marriage works. No, you get sick of him, you leave. He says something you don't like, you leave, you get out. I didn't have any kind of roadmap for that. So I really had no intention of ever getting married, really, because I thought that was bunk. And so when that presented itself, it gave me permission to fully invest, where I went, all right, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, like you said, but in a way that was like predestined almost, where this actually wasn't my decision or his decision, even though it was really our decision. Does that make sense? It just, it took out that part of that when's the shoe gonna drop piece for me, because I really do believe that I was meant to be the parents of Georgia and Isla, especially because of the way it happened. Because I got pregnant on the pill, then you just go, this is where you're supposed to be, girl. You're not supposed to be somewhere else.
I have to say, that's how we feel about Mercy. Because we had been together for 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, I think about that. I have a 12-year-old child.
In 2000 is when we started dating.
Wow.
I didn't get pregnant until 2012.
Wow.
We were married in 2009.
Right.
Which he had sworn up and down he would never do again.
Well, he was married before you? Oh, I didn't know that.
And then I honestly thought we were broken. I thought one of us was broken.
Right.
Who is together for 12 years and not even a oops or a
right
or even a hint of an oops.
Right.
And I thought, and I didn't want to know who. I was like, I don't want to point the finger at me or him.
Right.
And I just, at 41, I gave up.
Right.
I go, it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Ship has sailed. Right.
So let's work on what we're going to do in retirement and how we're going to live our lives to get, and, you know, get you where you want to be.
Right.
Career-wise, and get me where I want to be career-wise.
Yeah.
And then at 42, the Mother's Day weekend. Had been off and on my period, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so thirsty. I don't know what's happening.
Huh.
But my assistant thought she was pregnant. And so I took a solidarity pregnancy test. And she was not pregnant, and I was.
Whoa.
And I was
Were you like, what?
the test, Leanne, can I tell you? I should sue them. This is pregnant. This is pregnant.
Yeah.
It was this.
That's not pregnant, right?
No.
That's double pregnant?
This is not pregnant.
Oh.
It was sideways.
What does that mean?
I know.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Did
For
you take
20
another one?
minutes. You have to sit there and build up your pee for
Oh,
20
do it
minutes.
again. Yeah.
So you're sitting there going, what does this mean? I'm looking on the phone, for the internet. What does this mean? I don't know. What does this mean?
Crazy.
And then the next one
Was pregnant.
I was like, oh my God.
That's so crazy.
Oh my God.
You were 42?
And then and Joey was on the road. So he wasn't even home.
Right.
I had to wait to tell him.
Oh my God.
And he came home for Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day weekend. And as I picked him up from the airport, he goes, I'm sorry I didn't get you anything for Mother's Day. And I just almost started crying in the car.
Aww.
But she was conceived the night he went #1 on iTunes. So
Nice.
she came with the money.
There
Not
you
the
go.
money so much as the
Success. Prosperity?
confidence.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it gave him the confidence that he could be more than he was.
Right.
And he had just started like the podcasting, and it was all kind of like moving. Like she came with our future,
Right.
is what she came with.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with we're closer. He's a better man.
Right.
He's focused in a way that he's never been focused before.
Mm-hmm. I think children do that. I think that's what shifted Bert too. He had that shift with his dad, got really hardworking and worked really hard, but wasn't elevating. And when I got pregnant, he called his agent at the time and said, I will take any job in any town for any price. I got to start really building my career, and I just need to work my material as much as I can. So you just put me on stage, any town, anywhere, I don't care. I'll take the job, whatever the job is. And he had never had that conversation or that phone call or that drive until I got pregnant. And that's why he started really working when Georgia was 3 days old, because he had already made that phone call and started those wheels turning. Mm-hmm. And then once she was here, he was like, I gotta make this happen. And he is a better man for having kids. He was a great man to start with, but having kids, and I think I'm really lucky, maybe Joey too, I don't know, you'll have to tell me. Bert was supposed to have girls. He wanted a boy.
No, Joey wanted a girl.
No, Bert was supposed to have girls. Girls have knocked him to his knees, and I don't know that a boy would have done that the same way for him.
No, I think that they would be more likely to see their own disappointments
Oh, interesting.
in their boys.
Maybe.
They don't see it in the girls.
No, he has nothing but joy for those girls.
Yeah.
And, they're flawed just like everybody else.
But he don't see it.
Yeah. Oh, no, he doesn't see
if
it.
He does
No.
see it. He sees it when there's actually not a flaw. He actually sees flaws where there are no flaws.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Yeah, and he tries to save them in places they don't need to be saved. That's been our biggest problem, is I go, she can figure this out. Like, you figuring it out for her is not helping her. You're not telling her you believe she can do it. let her figure it out. Georgia forgot her workout pants for softball practice and called me and kind of sort of lightly implied that I should drive them to her. So my text was, you're telling me at 3:00 I should drive 30 minutes to high school and sit there for 2.5 hours while you practice to drive you home? Or drive home for 30 minutes and then drive 30 minutes back to pick you up and then 30 minutes home again? You think that's a reasonable request?
For something you forgot?
For something you forgot. And she was like, no, that's not what I was requesting. I want you to help me problem solve it. I went, well, what do you think you should do? You should be able to, you're 14. Think. I know all my friends are in the dance troupe. Surely one of them have black leggings. So maybe I'll ask a friend and see if you can borrow some leggings. We'll wash them and return them the next day. Tell your coach you're wearing sweatpants to school. See if you can work out in your sweatpants. What's the worst that could happen? And she said, the worst that could happen is that I run extra laps. And I went, well, guess what? You forgot your pants. You run extra laps. That's the way it worked. Bert was a wreck. He was like, I'm just going to bring her the pants. I'm just bringing her the pants. And I'm like, dude, this is how she learns. She won't forget them again.
No, I don't think Joey would do that. Joey would be like, no.
Oh, no, Bert, no. Same thing was happening that day. Bert posted the text thread of Isla. Isla calls me once a week to pick her up from school because she has a headache. And I don't pick her up. I go to the nurse. If the nurse says I should pick you up, I will pick you up. But I'm not picking you up because you're texting me from your yearbook class and you want to come home. But if the nurse says come get you, I'm totally down. But she won't go see the nurse. So that tells me you're not sick enough, because if you were, you'd go see the nurse. So she doesn't even bother reaching out to me and starts texting Bert. And Bert's coming undone. He's like pacing in her house going, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? I said, this is what you do. You tell her to go to the nurse. And if the nurse calls, we'll pick her up. So she goes to the nurse. The nurse calls and I go, let me tell you something. She's been calling me once a week with this headache. I know she has a headache. I had headaches at her same age. Totally get it. But she can't go home from school once a week. She's got to figure out how to tough this out. So how do we figure out how to tough this out? And the nurse said, I'm so glad you're saying that. I completely agree with you. She said, I think she should ice her forehead, lay down for 15 minutes, and see how she feels.
Ice her neck.
Her forehead helps. It helped her.
Hi, all the dads in the room. Is it a menstrual headache?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's menstrual.
For me, mine is all in my neck, and it's the swelling on your
blood vessels.
The blood vessels in here that's causing the headache. And
hers is right here.
Yeah.
It's in
mine hurts there. But it's from here, causing the blood vessels are constricted and they can't get it. The muscles are so tight around that loosens it.
Well, she iced. She went back to school. I picked her up from school and she was singing. La 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 la. Pick up, and Bert was like undone at home.
They never
about
picked me up from school. I used to have them all the time.
I walked home
we didn't have nurses at school.
Well, we didn't either. No, I had headaches all the time, and I used to tough it out.
I would have them twice a week or twice a month. So I'd have them at the beginning and the end.
Right.
And I'd go throw up and
go back to class. Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have to pay attention in class
because it was easy. Right.
Because I was cross-eyed the whole thing. I can't. Whatever you're writing.
Right. Can't process it. She probably feels that way, but I'm like, you can't always save them. You have to let them figure it out. Especially at this age, when they're younger, it's a little different.
And you can't call out of work every time you have a headache.
I say that a million times. You can't call out of work if you have a headache. Here's what you do. You got a fever, you throwing up. Absolutely come home immediately. Yeah. Absolutely.
But even if you're throwing up from a headache, you go to the bathroom, you throw up, and you go back to your desk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about stomach flu.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Throwing up, you go home if you have a stomach flu.
If you have a virus that you're going to infect people with, please go home.
You go home, yeah. But other than that, you stay at fucking school. If you forget your pants for softball, you figure it out. It's part of... Girls can figure this shit out just as well as boys. And I think if we'd had a boy, he would tough love them. But with a girl, it's really uncomfortable for him to not... be that daddy hero. I'll be the hero and swoop in and I'll bring your pants and I'll sit there for 2 hours in the parking lot. I'm like, Fuck you, dude. I can't do that all the time. I have another kid at home and I'm one person.
No, and I really think that it would be doing them a disservice because we are older parents.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to dig them out of a hole
Yeah.
when we're in our 80s.
Yeah, it's very true.
They are going to have to learn how to take the shovel out of their hands
Yeah.
and put it down
Yeah.
and think for a minute.
Yeah.
Stop digging your hole deeper.
I know, right? Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath and figure this out. My parents made me think that way.
Yeah.
I have to teach you how to think that way. And it goes against my grain because I'm an enabler.
Ah, I see.
That I want to fix everything. I feel that I can take on everything. When we get out of the car, I have the backpacks and my purse and our coats and the lunch boxes and everything is strapped around me, and everybody else is walking off to the front door.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And I'm like, stop it.
Well, part of it, though, let me ask you this. Growing up the way I grew up, everybody worked.
Yeah.
Like when I was living with my dad, I lived with him from time to time. There was one point where we lived with his parents who had a farm. I fucking worked.
All
I
the
got up and
time.
fed the calves, like bottle fed calves at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
You know,
we
that,
cleaned out the hog. We were raised on a hog farm. My sister and I, not all the time, but yes, many mornings we were out there at 5:30 in the morning to rake out the hog stalls.
But my question is this. Do you think that piece of you where you've got everything strapped to your body is part of that? Is part of the way you grew up? Because when I grew up, everybody carried everything. The man didn't carry stuff and the woman follows behind tippy-toeing or vice versa.
Yeah.
Everybody carried everything, you know, because everybody worked. I think my mentality is, well, we all should be doing this. If we're all doing this, then it all gets done. But nobody else is wired that way.
I think my problem is not that everybody should be doing it, is that I don't call people on it when they don't do it.
Right.
I just carry more.
Well, I do that too a little bit. And part of it is probably because we are the only adult in the house for a majority of the time. You know, why would I ask Bert to take the garbage out on the one day he's home? I just
know.
take it out because I don't think about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to me to go, hey, babe, can you take out the garbage?
I know.
Right? You just do it because then it's done.
Because I always do it.
Because you do it the other 6 days a week. So why would that one day go, you know, it really gives me a good break if you just take out the garbage. You know, it just doesn't even matter. It's 2 seconds of time. So I know what you mean about all of a sudden seeing that you have everything on you and other people are carrying nothing. I feel that way a lot in this house. What do you think is the biggest challenge being married to a comic?
The road is the challenge. It's the reward and the challenge. It's your time alone, but you're also alone and you're lonely.
Yeah.
And it all falls on you
Yeah.
when they're on the road.
Yeah.
So the road is definitely that. The personality, the big personality, it's the thing that drew us to him.
100%. Yeah.
It's the thing that repels us away from them.
Right. I think I don't know if I feel repelled, but
You do when they're fighting.
When we're fighting, I do. Yes, for sure.
Because it's that same personality.
It's the fight. It's the fighting that I have a problem with. It's
But
not
it's
the other.
It's that large, overblown, sorry, honey, personality that makes them what they are on stage.
Yeah.
It's that same personality that makes them what they are in that argument.
Absolutely. Yes, it's true.
It's the I'm talking, you're going to listen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. No heckling from you.
No heckling from you. You in the back, sit down.
Yeah, I know, right? Wait till my set's over, and then maybe you'll get 5 minutes.
I didn't ask for your critique.
That's exactly right.
You're not Mitzi Shore.
So Bert and I know. Well, I wish sometimes I had the power of Mitzi Shore, but we had that fight Monday, right? And Bert makes a very grandstand statement, and you should leave because la 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 la.
Don't you love
and
that
I
one?
do. And I was like, bye. So I texted him, I don't like to play those high school games. You should leave. So
Why don't you just leave?
Why don't you just leave? I think you should leave now because you're being really mean. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to talk. But in saying anything at all and heckling, I am now being mean. So, okay, I'm going to leave. I go and I text him because he won't come out of the man cave. And I say, I'm walking the dogs. I just want him to know I'm not being shitty if he goes in the house and I'm not there, that I'm not grandstanding or doing some big high school bullshit. I legitimately have to walk the dogs. So walking the dogs. Then I text and I come back and I got to go to Gelson's. My day still has to go on, even though he is in pieces because I'm so mean because I was trying to present my side of this argument. I'm going to Gelson's. That's all I texted. Go to Gelson's. And guess who shows up at Gelson's? Bert Kreischer. Pushing a cart at Gelson's. I was like, what are you doing? I came over to apologize. I think that I was not letting you say something. So in the frozen food aisle, I got to say what I needed to say because it was a super safe place in public.
I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Now that you've said that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that we, as wives of comedians and comedians in a marriage, have more spats and conversations in public because they're used to talking in public about their feelings?
That's interesting you say that. We don't really have many spats in public. That's probably the first time anything like that's happened in public. We stayed really civil. I don't think anybody would have ever known we were arguing. But things do happen in public that I don't like. Like he'll say, yeah, guys, I'm going to go home and have sex with my wife. And I go,
right.
I fucking don't want you to say that at Gelson's. Sorry, but I don't like that. Like that, I don't think that's cool. And his perspective is, but I think everybody who hears it would think it's amazing that I still want to fuck my wife. Nobody wants to fuck their life. And I'm like, I think it should be obvious that you want to fuck your wife and you don't have to proclaim it in the fucking fruit department at Gelson's.
Oh, Leanne, take the stick
happened.
out of your ass.
I know,
That's what
right?
Joey would say.
I'm such a Debbie Downer. But he doesn't understand why I have that perspective. He thinks it's unloving for me to be embarrassed when he does stuff like, oh, Leanne just shit her pants. She's got to go wipe her ass. And I'm like, dude, I don't like that. I don't want that. That does bother me. But we don't really fight in public.
But it's that sort of
yes,
public pronouncements.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not that comfortable
totally
with this.
Yeah.
This is not how this is supposed to be. I realize that, and look, people come up to me, so I saw Joey set. Oh my God. Okay, it's all lies.
I do the same thing.
One, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
These are jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Especially if it's about me.
Yes, I do the same thing.
With a grain of salt.
I do the same thing. I had one mom of one of my kids' friends said, I started watching Secret Time, and when he started off talking about you that way, because his first job is about his first joke is about how I don't know how to give a good hand job, and
does anyone?
I mean, really, I'm not a man. I don't know what it really feels like, so I can do my best, but. Anyway, she said, when he started off like that, I just turned it off. I can't look at you in that way. Like, I know you as the parent of this kid, and I just can't see you from that perspective. And I went, you know, it's a joke, right? And she goes, I know it's a joke, but it's about you, and I can't really separate the two. I was like, okay, well, you could fast forward about 4 minutes, and then you'd be all right. She was like, no, I just don't want to see any of it now. Okay, no problem.
It's your prerogative.
That's totally fine. I have no problem if someone's offended by him, as long as they take us for face value as who we are as people when we meet you at the barbecue at the park down the street. We're just regular parents, regular people who sometimes make inappropriate proclamations in public about having sex with our wife. But other than that, Bert's a pretty regular guy. And Joey's a really great dad. He's such a great guy. Joey, let me tell you what I think about Joey. I think he loves so deeply the people that he loves. Yeah. He loves from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, man. Every piece of him.
He is the most loyal
Yeah.
person, and he gets hurt so deeply
Yeah.
when that loyalty is not returned.
Right. I could see that. I know if Bert ever doesn't return his call right in a window Joey thinks is appropriate, he lets him know it.
And in no uncertain terms.
But that's good because I think, well, you should know that that's how he feels, you know?
And I think out here people are so afraid of actually telling people that they expect something from them.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird vibe out. He's so used to being around people who would live and die for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not because he's Joey Diaz.
Right.
But because he's Coco.
Right. Exactly.
Their children call him uncle, not because it's cool.
Right.
But because they have always called him Uncle Joey.
Right. Right.
Because he is their uncle.
Totally.
And they are his family, not his friends.
Yeah.
So that loyalty runs both ways, and it runs deep.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that here for the most part.
It's hard to find for sure.
There is a very deep loyalty in the comedian community.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
That is nice to find out here.
Yeah.
It
They're
is
like
not the same loyalty, and it's not as deep, but there are strains of it.
Right.
That, it's a more fickle friend than what he grew up with. But there are still people like Bert and Ari and Steve Simone and Lee and that are that these are his brothers.
Right. It is hard, it's hard to come from a place like Jersey, I'm sure, especially, but even from my hometown where there's so much family there and everybody knows everybody from birth that you can't really recreate that somewhere else.
No, and it's
You
hard for me
can't.
because my family, my sister and my brother we're very close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to find that in someone outside of a family situation.
No, it's a different thing.
And it's people who will take a bullet for you
Yeah,
and not think of the consequences.
totally.
And you're not going to find that often. And you miss it.
Of course, yeah. You have to adjust. I think fulfillment sometimes, or at least in my opinion, fulfillment is based on your perspective, right? So I have friends here that I'm really close to, but they will never be like my family.
Never.
So there's a different set of expectations. And if my expectations are different, my fulfillment is different. I'm super happy for all the stuff that I do with my friends out here, but it's never going to be the same as my family. And some of the stuff I do with my family is not as good as the stuff I do with my friends out here. They're just a different kind of fulfillment. That comfort level you have with family just can't be replicated.
No.
Or even if the family is the kids you grew up with on the block, it doesn't have to be your blood family for everybody.
And I have to say, for Mercy, it's probably going to end up being that.
The kids you grew up on the block.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is
and
for
it
my
makes
kids.
me nervous because I don't know what that's like. I don't think it
Yeah.
makes Joey as nervous. Maybe it does make him somewhat nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But he has that.
Right.
But he doesn't have it out here. So I think that's what makes him nervous, is that she's going to be out here.
Right.
And these people are not like those people.
They're different. Yeah, for sure.
That she's not going to have that.
Right.
And she doesn't have family here.
Right.
So I'm nervous about that.
I understand that. It's an interesting way to raise kids here. I think when I started at school and I saw that Isla was struggling in school I started her Girl Scout troop because I wanted her to have a place where there was a level playing field with the peers that she was in class with. So she was in class with all these really bright kids. She's always hanging out with the really bright kids. Even now at her middle school, all her friends are in the highly gifted program. She's dyslexic. School sucks for her. So I tried to, in kindergarten, create a place where her peer group had nothing to do with academia, at least for that little bit. And her group of friends grew out of that Girl Scout troop that we added ourselves into. And so I think the same thing happened for Georgia. She was already in a Girl Scout troop, and she's still really good friends with 3 girls. They're still in a Girl Scout troop together. These 4 girls have moved from 2nd grade through different middle schools, now in totally different high schools, and they're still together. And all the adults are kind of resonate the same kind of philosophy. We're not all super thick and tight, but I would do anything with any of those adults anytime. If someone invites me to go bowling, totally fine. I may not, share Christmas Eve with them, but at the same time, there's a place for them.
Right.
And the place really is about what the kids need in the context of those friendships, And it's been really amazing to think I didn't really have any of that. I moved so much. I just had my cousins that I kept coming in and out of from moving.
Right.
So I didn't grow up with any kind of steady stream of people like that other than my family that I didn't see all the time either. But I think I've tried to create what I wanted, which was this steady stream that had nothing to do with school, but had to do with this set of peer groups that could move together. Luckily, both sets of girls have stayed interested in Girl Scouts. It could be softball, it could be soccer, it could be, something
Mercy's
else.
In this place called
I saw it, yeah, right down the street.
Where it's Muay Thai kickboxing and
awesome.
boxing and jiu-jitsu, and she's learning how to be part of a team. She's learning how to take a punch.
That's awesome.
Because goes back to what you were saying about learn how to overcome that.
Right.
Like the defeat of a team. It's learning how to take a punch from somebody and overcome from that punch. And I mean, it's really hard for these kids.
Of course.
Because they're like, someone just hit me in the head, and they don't understand it. Even though they have their headgear on and they're all freaked out.
It's safe, but
I know you didn't really get hurt, but your pride got hurt. And like coach is like, no crying in here.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get hit in the head.
Right.
Not hit her in the head.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You said to me when Mercy was young, and I was telling you about how lonely it was, and you're like, when she starts kindergarten, it will all start to change. And you're right.
It did.
It is starting to change.
Yeah, it's starting, yeah.
Because it was really lonely at first, because you're just home.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing anyone.
I know, yeah.
And then even at preschool, the parents don't live around here necessarily.
Right.
But in public school, they're your neighborhood.
That's right.
The parents, you see them every day. You walk to school with them. Once you develop a core bunch of parents that have similar, not views, but temperaments.
Yeah, that's right.
Then
it starts melding.
It starts melding.
It does. You're right. That's what happened for us, because the kids that Isla started friends with in kindergarten and then added to in 1st grade are part of our social group that you see every Christmas Eve. Yeah. It started there. And then I have some from Georgia's. Those 3 parents from Georgia's are part of that social group, and it started there. It really is about going to this local school. I mean, now that Georgia is in high school 30 minutes from here, don't know anybody, don't know any parents, don't know any other girls. She's making friends, but she always comes back to this home base, right?
And Mercy does too with her preschool. She has a few friends from preschool that are her and will always be a part of her core friend group.
Right.
And it helps.
Yeah.
That we also like their parents.
Yeah, it does help a lot.
Because I'm not going to encourage you to be best friends with someone if I don't like their mom.
Yeah, right. It's very true because is
I don't
about
wanna hang with
managing
this
more.
person.
Yeah, it's about managing more than those two little people.
Yeah.
They manage themselves fine. It's how you manage each other. I know I had this
I
one.
have to be stuck in a room with her mom, and I don't want to
Exactly. Do I really want to go to the trampoline park and spend 4 hours with you? I don't know. It's got to kind of work. Doesn't have to be perfect,
No.
but it does have to kind of work.
Like I said, we don't have to share the same views.
Right.
But we do have to have similar temperaments.
Something to talk about at least.
Yeah. But we have to be like not so, we have to have complementary temperaments.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And have fun. I think it's important for your kids to see you having fun as a group of adults.
Yeah.
That is one thing my dad gave me. My dad had a group of adults that he always hung out with. So if there was a barbecue, same group of adults were there. If there was, family reunion, some of those adults would be there. And it's nice now as an adult. My dad just had his 70th birthday party last year. I went home, obviously, for his birthday, and I was like, here's all the people I watched him enjoy his life with from birth.
And see, we had that at church, which I know a lot of people out here don't have, and a lot of people around don't have. To me, it was a double-edged sword. It was the place that made you be good.
Yeah.
But it was developing a community without you knowing that that's what was really happening.
I think that happens at our elementary school.
And the same people, the adults that we went to church with, still ask my mom about us.
Yeah.
Still, when I go home, visit us.
Yeah.
They come to visit while I'm home.
Yeah.
I mean something to them.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that.
It's beautiful. Yeah. That is a beautiful part of the South.
That someone actually cares about me, and they don't have to.
Yeah, that is a beautiful part of the South. That still happens for me too. When I go home, church people, especially my grandmother is really still very active in her church, and they know all about our lives. And it's beautiful. And that doesn't exist here. I don't know that it exists many places.
It's kind of, I will tell you, we go to, and Mercy's getting that. And I take her, not because I believe in all the doctrine, and I do, to some, I'm a doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
I look at everything with skepticism, but I want her to have that knowledge.
Yeah.
And to make her own decision.
Yeah.
And I want her to have that community of people who care about her.
Right. Right.
Outside of the family, outside of her friends, older people, it's important for her to be around them. And you know what? She gravitates towards them anyway. It's the craziest thing, Leanne. Sunday after church, we have meet and greet. That's who she sits with. Everyone at that table is over 60.
Yeah. How cute is that?
She's the only kid there.
That's so cute.
She sits with Miss Judy every Sunday.
She does. That's so cute.
And Miss Judy brings her cards with stickers on it and colorings, and she loves those grown, older, more mature
grandparent
she
type.
misses that.
Yeah. Well, they did a study. I read this article maybe about how they somewhere in the U.S. put a preschool in a nursing home. And the nursing home patients would help teach in the preschool, and it extended their life by like 2 or 3 years statistically to be able to help young people. And the young people were
more respectful, probably.
No, they were actually ahead in school because those elderly people spent so much time helping them learn their ABCs or whatever you do in preschool, that it was such an enriching environment for both groups, both age groups. I thought, what a brilliant model, because we don't take care of our elderly the way that families did in the past.
Yeah.
And what preschooler doesn't want love? And those elderly just want to give love. They just want to feel relevant.
And they listen to her.
I'm sure they do.
When I'm Like, oh my gosh, she won't stop talking. Oh, when does it ever end?
But what an amazing model
But
that
they
was.
just
you
let
know?
her, because once a week she can go in there and she is her father with a captive audience.
She is a hoot.
Yeah, she
She's
knows
really
her demographic.
She knows her demographic. How she handle hecklers.
Oh yeah. She's like, oh, mom. Yeah, she gets. Yeah,
She is such a
more
little
polite.
free spirit. She is such her own person. Like she I think was born a fully developed personality. And I don't mean like personality like a star. I mean like who she is and knowing her own mind and being able to articulate it to in an age appropriate way. She's always been really awesome like that. Like Isla came here fully formed as a person.
Yeah.
There was no like, hey, why don't you look at this? Oh yeah, that's
You're going to
interesting.
listen to me.
Exactly. She's fully formed. Georgia was formed, but definitely more open to influence.
To suggestion.
She's just open to influence. She go, oh yeah, maybe it is not good for me to have 4 scoops of ice cream. I was like, fuck it, put all 4 in there. That's what I want. They're just totally different. But Mercy, from the outside, from watching her, she seems to be very herself.
I think she's aware of what she can ask for and actually get.
Oh well, yeah, yeah.
She's controlled enough in that kind of, like, she'll ask, but she knows that she's not going to get it. But
Right.
she's just going to throw some spaghetti on the wall. But then usually she can pare it down to, but I know what I can get.
Right.
And she's very well informed, or well, I don't know how you can articulate that, disciplined in that.
Yeah.
But Bert was telling Joey when he did the podcast about when she jumped in your pool.
Oh my God, it was so brilliant. It was so brilliant. So it's Christmas Eve. Every Christmas Eve, I have a big party. And we had just put the pool in. The pool was finished like early October, somewhere in there. First year we had the pool. That was not this year. It was last year.
Yes.
And Bert was like, everybody in the pool. So we have all these, my kids' age friends jumping in the pool with Bert. And then Bert's like, hey, Mercy, jump in the pool. Well, it's December and it's not heated.
And she has no other clothes.
And she has no other clothes. And she freaking jumped in the pool. She was like a gangster. She jumped in. It was so cold. It had to be painful.
How she got a hold of a ring that night, I don't know if she found one of your girls' rings or they gave it to her. She had a ring on. And she wouldn't take it off all night. And so she kept running up to the pool and then running back. And then running up to the pool and then running back. And then she looked at me and she goes, hold my ring. And then she just launched herself into the pool. It was all about the ring. Like,
That was her hesitation.
I can't get my ring wet.
Now, how old was she? 4?
Yeah.
4.
She's just about to turn 5.
She was so funny.
And then we had to send her home with no clothes on except Isla's old sweatshirt, which hung to her ankles.
Right. I remember.
She was bare bottomed with nothing but wet hair, and she was shaking and crying. And I was like, yeah, I think it's time to go home.
That, and she just became legend in our house. That became legend. Bert talks about that all the time. If Mercy can jump in the pool, then you can jump in the pool.
Oh my God.
Because he made us all do a polar plunge for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
New Year's
she
Day.
came, he was like, Mercy, you get in the pool? No.
I'm good. Been there, done that. My legendary status has been set. I'm
You
good.
got me once. That's it.
I'm not doing it again.
I'm keen to you now, Mr. Uncle Bert.
I know, right? Well, I have to say this. I don't think it's a coincidence that 2 Southern girls married these 2 outrageous comics. There's got to be, besides the combination of what we do for each other, there's got to be some reason. Like, I don't know that most people who didn't grow up the way we grew up would have the wherewithal to be able to be in this life. Right?
I think that we grew up very independent, but
hardworking
with that need to help those around us. And the need to have people around us that need help.
I have some of that. Yeah.
That if Joey had been a fully functioning person, he would have no need for me.
Right.
I need to be needed.
Yeah. And boy, don't they need you.
And don't they need you.
I think I must need to be needed too.
There are sometimes I feel I bit off more than I could chew.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's why I think most people don't have the wherewithal to live this life.
But if Joey had not decided I was somebody worth changing his life for.
Right.
And if I hadn't decided that I was somebody worth changing my life for, and I didn't want to lose him, I don't think we would have made it.
Right.
Because it takes more than just
hard work.
Admiration.
Oh, hell yeah. It takes a lot more than admiration. It takes a value.
Yeah.
To value. I value Bert, but I also value his art, because I feel like what he does is truly art. That he's talking about me jacking him off and all this stuff, but actually the number of emails I get saying I was suicidal, I have PTSD, my wife left me, my dad's dying of cancer, and the only thing that got me out was watching your special. And I go, that's what it's all about.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah. But I say, really? But I think, yeah, really?
And I think that the only reason I did not drink myself into an early grave is because it's not what he's saying.
Right.
It's that he is so relatable, and he's pulling your that sounds so cliche, and that's not even what I mean to say.
He's very real. Like who
he
you
makes
see,
you feel okay about
your flaws,
your own flaws.
Yes, he does.
And people need that.
Yes, badly.
I need that. Funny though, I don't always feel that. I want to hide my flaws from him.
From Joey? Really? I don't see you as very flawed. You must have a lot of flaws you believe you have that you don't have.
I hide my flaws. I don't like people to see my flaws. I don't like people to feel that I'm flawed. I don't like to feel flawed.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody likes to feel flawed.
Yeah.
But,
and maybe that's it. Maybe I don't see myself through the lens that other people see me.
That very well may be, because I don't see you as super flawed.
But I think the thing is that Joey sees himself. He sees other people through a better lens than they see themselves.
Right. I could see that.
And he articulates it somehow. And I can't do it. He can say things. Bert can say things that nobody else can get away with.
Yes, true.
Because they don't have any malice. They have nothing but love behind it.
That's very true.
And it's not just rhetoric.
No, it's who they are.
They really do have nothing but love behind it.
That's right.
And admiration and respect.
Yeah.
And you can feel it.
Yes,
There's
very
an
true.
honesty behind it.
Yeah.
That you don't get a lot.
That's part of what I fell in love with Bert, was the honesty. To grow up with someone who lies all the time and to try and teach yourself to be honest all the time, it's nice to have someone who's honest. Even if his honesty sometimes is misdirected. Like when we're arguing and I go, you're being totally honest about how you feel. Not sure your level 12 is really where we should be. We should maybe be at a 4.
I realize that you're this upset about the napkins.
Yes, exactly.
But they're fucking napkins.
Exactly. But he's honest about what he's feeling.
Yeah, you very well may be ballistic about them. But that's inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. But he's at least honest There's nothing hidden.
Yeah.
And hidden things make me nervous.
Yeah.
I don't like hidden things. I don't like, not that I'm saying your hidden flaws make me nervous, but like when I can see that someone's hiding something, I can see when someone's hiding something. I'm really
not a serial
perceptive.
killer, so it's okay.
I know, right? No, your flaws are you have 7 cats. That's a flaw. No, I'm joking. I would have 7 cats too if I didn't have an allergic husband. Clearly, since I have 3 chickens, 2 dogs.
Past tense.
Had, yes, I would have the same number. I would be the cat lady too because I love cats.
I will say that all of my animals combined never were the same weight as your one dog.
Touche. Yes.
So technically,
I have all
more
your
poundage.
I do have more lbs for sure between cats, dogs, and chickens.
Yeah.
And Bert Kreischer.
So
Yeah.
Well, no, I think maybe if we throw an husband's in the mix.
Well, I do have 2 teenage daughters, so
Yeah, okay.
that takes away. Okay, well, we should wrap this up because I have to take you for lunch for your
that's
birthday. Thank you for chatting.
Oh.
Did you have fun?
I did. I didn't even realize we had started. And then about 15 minutes in, I was like, I assume they're recording.
Yes, we are. I like to do that. I like it to be just a conversation, right?
No, it's nice. You kind of melt into it.
Yeah,
It's nice,
then
and
we
you're
just
not like, okay, now I'm on.
No, I don't believe in that at all. I think that there's a lack of good conversation happening in life in general. And my whole point for starting the podcast was for someone to have a place to go to just listen to good conversation. It doesn't even necessarily have to be topic driven. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just a conversation because, in my opinion, the people I hang out with and my friends here are really great people who have amazing perspective on life, and I usually have really good conversations with them. So it makes it pretty easy to just sit down and start talking and not have some kind of produced expectation on what should happen, because I learned a lot about you today I didn't know.
Because, well, it's really hard to talk to somebody who's trying to make chicken fried steak for 2 hours.
Tell me about it for 80 people. Yes. Every
That's
time you come over,
when we
there's
usually, they're cooking.
At Christmas Eve, you come over. Anytime you come over, we're cooking.
Yeah.
So it is hard to have a conversation. And I have to share you with everybody.
Yeah.
So, and you have to share me with everybody. So, yeah, I just wanted to have a conversation.
It is. It's nice because I found out things about you today that I would have never imagined.
Right.
Because again, I don't see that.
And we don't talk about that. I don't go, so I have a crazy mother. Would you like some gravy on your steak? I don't really do that.
I did have a nervous breakdown when I was 17.
Yeah, I'll take the gravy. Right, exactly.
Could you pass me some wine?
No. Yeah, why would we ever talk about that in life? I mean, I don't
Who
feel
brings that up at Christmas?
No, right? I don't feel the need to share that place in the context of a social situation in my home. But for this purpose, I think it informs the conversation, right?
Right.
When we're talking about who we are and how we became this person, that informs the conversation. I don't ever want anybody to think I talk about all this stuff about my mom to be the martyr or the cool person that had all this, had to overcome. That's only to relate where you are today from where you came from, and to know that other people can do that too.
I mean, talk about Debbie Downer. Who wants to talk about that all the time?
Not me.
Who do you think wants to hear that?
No, nobody. Some people do. I think it does, not all the time, but some people hear it from time to time. Yeah, no.
You have to pick a different topic.
That, and you need to move past it.
Yeah,
If you're talking about that all the time, you're stuck in it. I'm very much not stuck in the stuff that I went through as a kid, but I feel like so many people remain stuck.
Yeah.
And if they don't feel that, if people feel they're alone, they stay stuck sometimes. And then sometimes you go, oh, well, like when we were talking about our arguments with our husbands, I go, oh, I'm not alone in that, because none of my other friends are married to a comic. None of my other friends argue like that.
Oh my God. One of my other friends, and I felt so bad. She goes, are you happy in your marriage? And I always feel that's a loaded question.
Yeah, right.
And I looked at her like, if I weren't happy in my marriage, would I fucking be in my marriage?
Right.
But she was like, oh, I'm sorry. Was that like, are you not happy in your marriage? And I was like, no, why would you ask me that? And then how do I answer that? I don't feel like there's a good I'm not giddy.
Right.
like some goofy schoolgirl, because I think that's what people expect.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that's how they define a happy marriage.
Yeah, I do too.
It's like, oh my God, you're having wild sex all the time. And it's all hand holding. And we watched movies together and we drank wine together on Friday night. And it was so wonderful. And we went on vacation together. That's fucking happy marriage. That's a fairy tale.
Yeah. And if you got that, God bless you.
God love you.
But that's not my experience of a happy marriage. I'm happily married. And I had a fucking asshole fight on Monday.
Yeah, my
And
happily
I'm still
married
happy.
means I don't want anybody else. And I don't want him to be with someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I benefit because I'm in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm in a happy marriage.
Yeah, I feel that way too. And he benefits because he's in it. That everything's working. Even when it's not working, it's still working.
Can you hear the chickens? That's all I have
Aren't
to
they
say.
cute? They're so cute, my little baby
It's
girls.
like the chickens are like, you are talking too much.
All right, let's go eat some Thai chicken.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.